All right, guys, I'll go ahead and say it again. I'm sorry I'm not here today, but today's notes are going to be over specialization and voluntary exchange. And again, these are a couple of things that y'all are really familiar with already. You may not have ever called on this, but you'll see it pretty quickly that you've already seen what this means. So, when we're talking about specialization, the big thing to take from this is the fact that we're taking every single bit of energy, everything we have, and we're putting it into one certain thing or into only a certain one or two things, right? So we're putting all of our efforts into one thing. So in athletics or in any kind of sport, you usually see a lot of specialization. I know that in football, I'm sure that every single position player probably does one specific set of drills every single day to where you get so good at that one thing that you never ever have to think about it. You think about it in band whenever you're practicing one particular song over and over and over and over and over again to where you get to the point where you can play it without even having to think about it. And that's kind of one of the strengths of specialization is the fact that it lets people devote so much time and energy to one thing that they get really good at it. And so it doesn't really take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort to be able to produce that one particular thing. What specialization also leads to is this right here, division of labor. And what this means is that we take one particular task and we break it up into several different stages. So you can kind of think of what Henry Ford did with the assembly line. And whenever he did the assembly line, he took several different people and he put one person in each different part of the production process of making a Model T truck. So he told one person, well, you're going to do nothing but put the front right hand tire on. And then he'd tell another person, you're only going to put the back left tire on. You're only going to put the bumper on. Right. And so every single person had a specific job. And so all they ever had to do every day was that one thing over and over again. So they got really good at it. Whereas if you had one person trying to build the entire car by themselves, it might take them a really long time. But if you got several people doing small little bits and pieces of the entire production process, it's actually going to go a lot faster because everyone's going to be able to do it a lot quicker. All right, so some examples of specialization, and you can just sit here and look at this, like for individuals, right? And maybe you have an electrician or a welder or a heart surgeon, right? And honestly, if I'm going to have heart surgery, well, I want someone who has performed heart surgeries thousands of times. I don't want someone who's never tried it before, right? And I'm sure you'd probably be the same way. And you look at any one of these examples, right? And these are how, like Japan with electronics, this is how they can specialize, right? They do one thing really, really well, right? Probably better than anyone else in the entire world. You look at some of the local businesses right here that we have, right? Think about Coca-Cola. They specialize in making soft drinks. Think about Apple. They specialize in making electronics, right? So these are just some examples of how individuals, businesses, and governments can all specialize. All right. Voluntary exchange. What this means is that producers and consumers are saying buyers and sellers here, right? That they are free and they're willing to engage in market transactions. In other words, if I go to Walmart to buy dog food, I don't have to go to Walmart to buy dog food. I can go to any store I want to. I get to choose. It's voluntary, right? I'm free and I'm willing to go there and be able to buy anything I want to. And the same thing with Walmart. They don't have to sell dog food. They get to choose it, right? And because we both wind up getting to choose it, what we're going to wind up seeing, and I'll show y'all this tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm not here to show you today, but we get to actually benefit. Both sides will benefit from this voluntary exchange, right? Buyers are actually going to get more for less money, and sellers are actually going to be able to sell more for more money, right? And you'll see how that actually works. We got a little activity we'll do, right? So here we go. If you look at this, kind of explains it, right? But if consumers believe that something is valuable and they purchase it, then more than likely what they mean, that they think is that whatever they bought is either worth exactly what they paid for it or they believe it's worth more than what they actually paid for it. So think about a situation where you're driving down the road and all of a sudden your tire explodes and you go and buy a new tire for maybe $80. Chances are at that particular time and place, you probably think that tire is worth a little bit more than $80 because you're in a pretty good jam and you're ready to get home, right? So in that case, because you were willing to and you're free. I mean, you could choose to go and buy it wherever you wanted to, but in that case, you're actually going to be benefiting, right? But again, like I said, I'll kind of show y'all this tomorrow. But for a producer to benefit, they have to believe that what they're selling it for is actually a little bit more than what it's worth. And again, like I said, I'll show you exactly what this means. Once you see the example, it'll be a little bit easier to understand. But regardless, going back to what voluntary exchange ultimately is buyers and sellers. They're freely and willingly engaging in market transactions. All right, so just some thoughts here for y'all to think about. And honestly, I would like for y'all to take some time and actually write a response and turn that in as part of this assignment for today. And then you could actually mark this assignment as done. And I'll be checking this over. Guys, it doesn't have to be anything more than half of a page. Just your thoughts on these two questions. But if y'all have any questions, please let me know. But hope y'all have a wonderful day.